Hey there all you good people, I'm Joe from Joe's Computer Museum. Today I'll take a look at the TransWarp GS clone from UltimateMicro. I'll examine the history of the original TransWarp GS, tell you a bit about the clone, and show you how well it can speed up your Apple IIGS. Warm up the CRT, it's time for another episode. Before we look at the clone, let's get to know the original. The TransWarp GS was designed by Applied Engineering, famous for their excellent Apple II peripherals. The card was probably the best accelerator for the Apple IIGS. It came with 8K of cache and 7 MHz operation. With the later released 32K cache upgrade and a user-installable 10 MHz oscillator, this card makes a GS fly. So how does it work? Well, it's kind of complicated. Many parts of the GS, like video, slots, and disk controllers, run at the Apple II speed of 1 MHz for compatibility with old hardware and software. The GS native hardware runs at the GS system speed of 2.6 to 2.8 MHz and malfunctions if accelerated. The TransWarp GS gets around these problems by using cache and asynchronous operation. The cache stores code that it can execute at full speed, and then the card has a lookup table to tell if the next bit of the code is in the cache, and if it is, it'll run it. If not, it'll fetch code from the system RAM. With this trick, the rest of the system can be left to run at native speed. Under certain conditions, the card performs a cache write-back while running at full speed, reducing slowdowns during these operations. Compatibility with hardware and software is nearly 100%. It's rare you'll find something that won't work with a TransWarp GS, but if you do, it's easy to slow the system down with a click of a mouse. The card is highly coveted by GS users today. Because of the original expense of the card, which in some ways curbed demand during the card's original production run, and because most people who already own one don't want to give it up, finding one affordably is difficult. They typically go for over $500 on auction sites, and you don't always know what you're getting. Because of the many revisions, the speed and reliability of your card may be unpredictable. Add in the fact that original cards are old and finicky, and you can see why there's such a market for a clone. This is where UltimateMicro comes in. With their hard work, a perfect clone has been attained, but it almost didn't happen. Henry Courbis of UltimateMicro was interviewed on the Open Apple podcast about how the clone came to be. It's very interesting, so I suggest you listen to his story. So I'll leave a link to the podcast in the description. Now that we have a clone of the card, what's so special about it? Well, on the first run of the card, there isn't much to it really. UltimateMicro stuck to a 1-to-1 copy as a known good starting point. But really, this version should be considered as a way for us to know how the design works, so we can add features and upgrades later. A built-in scalable oscillator, perhaps? Maybe full-speed access to the entire system memory. But who cares about all that technical stuff? Let's look at the card installed in the system. So here we are. There's the TransWarp GS installed in my Apple IIGS. It is a thing of beauty. Let's take a look at a couple little things on here. You can see the prototype masking right there. Henry put that on there so everybody knew it wasn't an original, so nobody would have any false hopes or dreams of something this clean looking, being out there in the wild. There is the Western Design Center, a W816, whatever it is, the 14 megahertz version of that. And here you can see the TransWarp GS32 cache card. Henry makes those as well and pairs those with the TransWarp GSs that he's distributing there. And of course on the top here you got the little status light. Next thing I want to show you is the slot it's installed in and how it connects to the machine with the CPU connector. Jump cut! And there it is, installed in slot 3 on the Apple IIGS. You can see that back here in the back, slot 3. Right here as well is the CPU bus connector. When you install this, you basically have to take your CPU out of that port there and connect it with this connector to the board, so that the board can snarf all the data, address lines, and everything it's got to do to interface with the system. Now, I'm not going to show the actual installation process of this because it is a pain in the patoot. I put it in once. I'm not going to take it out to put it in again. Now that we know how the card is installed in the machine, let's show some side-by-side comparisons of the performance of it at 2.8, 7, and 17 megahertz. What can I say about it? The UltimateMicro TransWarp GS clone is a thing of beauty. It's solidly assembled and opens the door for many future possibilities. Coupled with the right oscillator, your GS practically soars. You can even use it for modern computing tasks if you wanted to, and that's the real beauty here, making an old computer useful again. But one of the most exciting prospects is the fact that we now have a public understanding of how the card does its magic. With that knowledge, it's possible to replicate it with modern hardware. Just imagine a clone that runs twice as fast as it does today. Maybe it can connect to a RAM expansion board in the future, directly using a special cable, eliminating the need for cache. Magic is on the horizon, folks. If you have an Apple IIGS and a TransWarp GS, what do you do with them? Play a round of Wolfenstein 3D perhaps? Maybe kick back with a Ninja Force demo? I'm thinking about writing a book. Tell me what you do with your setup in the comments. Well, that's all for today's episode. Is there something you'd like me to review next? Maybe you'd like to see one of my old computers. Drop me a comment and let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button or subscribe, and remember, 8 bits are all you need. Much better. Hopefully I have no tussle. Stop.